Sandra, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality and all things asexual. On this channel, I reveal my own personal asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe by hitting that great big subscribe button now. Hello, Michael. And hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live or post a new video. And as I go through this video, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up because it really helps raise awareness of asexuality. If you don't know who I am, I'm the author of Asexual Perspectives, founder of asexualise.com and founder of Asexualise Academy. So in today's episode, I want to ask the question, as a community of asexuals, are we sending the wrong message? And what I mean by this is, I've seen some articles lately, asexual articles, as I've been doing research for different articles to include on my blog. And some of the articles are really good. And then they get to the point where the person being interviewed says, so if asexuality, if you think asexuality fits, then use the label, basically. I can't remember the exact words, but it was basically, well, use the label if it fits, and if it doesn't, and you can change your mind later. So, you know what I mean? I just don't like these type of articles in general, because I think it promotes the wrong message. The way it seems as though that you can, you know, you can wear asexuality like a hat for a while, try it on. If it doesn't suit you, then go on to something else. And I just don't really see articles written like that about other forms of sexual orientation. I mean, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. I mean, I don't tend to look in gay magazines or lesbian magazines or anything like that, or for articles. And maybe they say the same or similar sort of thing there. But I just think it seems very bizarre that, you know, if you feel it fits you, then use the label. Basically, that's what it said. If you feel it fits you, then use the label. And whilst I think it's a good thing, you know, that if people are unsure and they feel that's where they fit right now in their life, you know, and they don't feel they fit in anywhere else, well, I think it's useful for them to be able to use it. I do, you know, I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think as a blanket statement, it could be very damaging to the asexual orientation. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of like saying, well, if you think it fits you now, just say it, and then if you change your mind later, it's fine. And I was surprised though, because in my own Asexual Perspectives book, you know, there was just such a big message that was, you know, that was shot out through my Asexual Perspectives book, and that was the majority of asexuals in my book believe sexuality is fluid. Now, I personally have never felt that way. I've never felt that sexuality is fluid. I have, however, known of some people that can change sexual orientation. So, for example, there was a woman in my work. She was a lesbian. She would date and have relationships with women. And there was this guy that she absolutely hated in our work. You know, they were always having disagreements, misunderstandings, sniping at one another, you know, and in the end, she ended up being with him and having a kid with him. And it was a complete turnaround, you know. And then I met a customer who was heterosexual female, changed into a lesbian, and she actually told me that was because of her bad treatment with guys. She wasn't attracted to guys anymore. She asked me out on a date, actually, and I said, no, I'm really sorry. But I tried to help her find people like herself online. I think that's said because there are asexuals who are reluctant to apply the label to themselves because they're afraid of being wrong. Yeah. It's kind of like, but if you're afraid that you're wrong, then maybe you should be actually researching it yourself before you even go there, if you know what I mean. Like, as soon as I found out I was asexual, I knew that I was asexual. I recognised it straight away of what people said, but I still was trying to work out exactly where I fitted on the spectrum. So I could say I was asexual straight away. But I knew I was attracted to guys only romantically as well. So I knew I was a heteroromantic, because I'm only attracted to guys. But, you know, it just, you know, if you're reading that and bear in mind there's not just asexuals reading it, there's sexuals reading it as well, it kind of seems like, you know, that anyone can use it. And it's just like, do other people say, well, you know, like, use heterosexuality, just say you're heterosexual? I mean, I know loads of people do use heterosexual that aren't really heterosexual, you know, lesbians, gays and asexuals. Put that down. We have to put it down sometimes. Like, for example, if we have to choose a sexual orientation and we're applying for a job, we have to put, you know, like, if I'm a heteromantic, I have to put heterosexual sometimes. Usually I just tick other, because they usually have an other box now. But, you know, if you have to put one of them, you have to, then I would probably have to choose heterosexual. But in all, you know, to all intents and purposes, I don't do that. I tick other. But I just feel that saying you can use it as a label, it kind of discourages people from actually researching more about it and finding it out first. But I think it also encourages people who are not really asexual to use it as a way of getting into the community, and, you know, not being very good sometimes, you know. So basically, I had a couple of incidents happen recently, and one I've got up on Facebook. There's this guy who I met through Asexual. He's on ASAP, which is an asexual dating app, and he's also on asexual dating sites. And I met this guy and we became friends on Facebook some time ago. And I know that he was kind of saying stuff to me before, and I wasn't completely clear about his orientation, but I just you know, I thought he might be in the grey demi area, so I just obviously, you know, didn't have so much to do with him. He's foreign, actually, lives in the UK. And I know a long time ago he goes, oh, I don't want to date you. And back then he kind of seemed more aromantic. So you know, that was fine. I didn't actually say I wanted to date him, but I just said I like foreign guys and stuff. So yeah, that was fine. And then he had a recent conversation with me, and I just felt that he didn't sound like he was asexual by the way he was talking. And so the messaging went on, and I said that I'm very different to I've just moved you because I've got to look at my Facebook conversation, and obviously I won't say all of it because it's not fair. But, you know, he was saying stuff and I'm thinking, I don't know if you're really asexual or not. And the more he said stuff to me, the more I thought that doesn't ring true for me. I don't think you're asexual. So I asked him outright. So basically, like, I said to him about, so basically what he was saying was really, really strange, some of the stuff. He was saying, from the people I've met, there seems to be a pattern of being in a long-term relationship where sex was forced upon them. There's either a realization that they were always ace, or a re-evaluation of what sex means and how it can be turned into something associated with more positive feelings. It's been mixed from the people I've met so far. Some literally don't enjoy sex. Some believe they could enjoy it with the right person. I myself have no idea, and that's why I've been advised to do a test to see which is true. But it isn't, being asexual isn't about whether you enjoy sex or not. Being asexual is about where you experience sexual attraction to want to have sex in the first place. It just seems a bit bizarre that people are trying to test out whether they're asexual or not by having sex with people and seeing what it feels like. I mean, I do think it's, you know, if you want to try sex out, I think it can be a good thing. You know, I'm glad I tried it, because I think that it, you know, if it's something you want to try, if you never want to have sex in your life, that is brilliant. You know, I applaud anyone who keeps their virginity. I personally gave my virginity away to someone who didn't really love me, who manipulated me emotionally, basically blackmailed me emotionally, and I went with it. And after 6 months, he dumped me anyway. So I believe if you're virgin and you want to stay a virgin the rest of your life, I think that's fabulous. I applaud you. I'm right behind you, supporting you. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I think it's great. I mean, the first video I ever published on this channel was that I would date a virgin, and I think being a virgin's great, you know, and I would really recommend anyone who's a virgin, if they want to stay that way forever. It's brilliant. I applaud you. I think it's amazing, you know, because I let myself, I mean, I wasn't strong back then like I am now, and I was emotionally blackmailed into it by a guy who was older than me, actually, and by a few years. And, you know, I gave into the pressure because I wanted his love. And he dumped me anyway in 6 months and told me he'd been looking at other women. And it's after that I started getting jealous in relationships, because I started not trusting guys, because until that point, I'd never dreamt of another guy being interested in another woman while he was with me, because I wasn't thinking that way. I wasn't that type of girl. I didn't think about sex. I didn't think about, you know, like, you know, I personally wasn't into sex for myself. I didn't think that way, you know. I wasn't even thinking about cheating or people having affairs or looking at other people while I was with them. It never occurred to me, because I've always been faithful and honest in my mind, and I guess at that point I thought everyone else was. And so it's really hard, you know, because I really thought I loved him in a sense, but then I was questioning myself all the time. Like, as a person, I've questioned myself a long time. Like, do you love this person, don't you? When I was younger, because I didn't know. I was sort of grading how I felt about the person. And so, you know, when I come across, which is what this video is about, when I come across in articles about, if you think the label asexual fits you, then use it. I think it can be misleading to some people reading it who've never heard of asexuality before, who are possibly not even asexual, you know, they're sexual. And I just kind of think it's a bit like, if we're a sexual orientation, which we are, and we want to be taken seriously, then how are we going to be taken seriously if we're saying anyone can use the label? Do you see what I mean? It just seems a bit like we're watering down the whole sexual orientation. It's like saying, well, it's like not emphasizing it's an actual sexual orientation. You know, with every sexual orientation, nothing's black and white as such, but it is black and white to a certain extent. Do you see what I mean? And with asexuality, sometimes there seems so many grey areas that, you know, people who are sexual are coming in amongst asexuals, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? You know, what is happening? You know, why is all the sexuals coming in on asexual dating sites thinking they're, you know, some of them thinking they're possibly asexual? And I kind of think that maybe it's becoming a bit blurry for people, you know, especially as some asexuals like sex, some, you know, will like to do it as an activity, but then you've got people who are going extreme, and rather than saying it like I think asexuality is, like, you know, people generally who do it, who are asexual, they're not doing it out of a innate desire to have it. They're doing it out of sort of practicality, for the sake of their partner. You know, practicality, they might want kids for the sake of their partner, because they're not opposed to it, because they don't mind it. I mean, they might enjoy the experience of it once they get to do it, but I would not say that asexuals going out seeking it usually, overall. However, there are people that are asexual. I've even known someone on an asexual dating site, and she said that I purposely went to meet guys to have sex with them because I wanted to try the experience of having sex. And she said it doesn't make me, you know, any less asexual, which I understand. However, there are also some other people that seem to be using sex as a way of finding out if they are asexual or not. And I mean, I had sex in the past. My ex was good at that, but it didn't make me asexual or not asexual. I was still asexual but didn't realise it. People are either interpreting it wrong, basically getting the incorrect idea, or just they like the label. Hi, Scary Jerry. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not, when people are saying in articles, in asexual articles, you know, if you think the label fits, then you use it, and then if you change your not mind later, it's fine. I just think that can send out the wrong message to people. It's kind of like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, go into this shop, try this jacket on. If you like the jacket, buy it, and then if it falls out of fashion and you want to get another jacket. Do you see what I mean? I just kind of feel it might be sending out that type of message. But at the same time, I do understand that it's important that some people are confused, and you don't want to put those people off feeling they don't have a place to be or can't come in our community to try and help themselves. Do you see what I mean? So I think it's a really fine line, but I do think that I just get annoyed when I see these articles. I thought I can't share them on my blog because I just don't agree with saying those words. I don't agree personally for me. If other people want to say it, I can't, that's their opinion. They're entitled to it. That's what they say. That's what they want to say. That's what they think is great. And in my asexual perspectives book, I'm not responsible for the people's words in there. I did the words as they said them to me, A lot of people in my book think sexuality is fluid, and that if people change their mind at a later date, that's absolutely fine. So I recorded their words. I interviewed them. That's not, I've got my personal opinion, and then I record what other people are saying. So that it gives the book, Asexual Perspectives, my book, the link's down below if you need to check it out. it gives a very good overview of the asexual spectrum and all the different types within it. I mean, not every single type's in there. I interviewed 46 asexuals, so obviously not every single type's in there. But, it gives a very overall view, and those are those persons' words, not mine, the other stories that belong to them. But even in my own book, you still get the general gist of how asexuality really is. It's not textbook definitions. You can feel what asexuality is like. It's like you're saying you're a vegan, however you're not. Yeah, Heather. Exactly. It just is kind of crazy, I think. And although I love these articles because I think they give really good advice, I feel like on my blog I'm thinking, Sandra, you just can't share that because you feel that one bit of advice isn't quite for the greater good. I can see why the person's doing it because they want everyone to feel included, and they want people that are feeling lost and lonely and left out in society and they don't quite fit in to actually, have a place if it's right for them. I get that, but it's just like when you read it, and especially if it's not asexuals that are reading it, people that don't understand how our community is, and they read it, they might think, oh, well, I'm not having sex for 4 months. I'll just use that label for now. And then, well, revert back. Do you see what I mean? I had a guy on meetup.com who was in a asexual/pansexual another group. So I got a bit confused as to how many people are actually asexual in the group. There are some, but not many, that I've spoken to. And, he was a doctor, and he's saying, oh, well, yeah, I can go without sex for periods of time, but he said I can be asexual for periods at a time. Like I can be asexual and go without, his wording, I can't remember it, I mentioned it in another video, was about the fact that he could be asexual for some time. And I'm like, well, that's not asexual, is it? You can't just say I'm asexual for a few months while you're abstaining from sex. That's not the same thing. And it's really difficult because asexuality is defined on Wikipedia as the lack of sexual attraction and or little to no interest in sexual activities. And we say in the asexual, it's quite well known that we say in the asexual community that someone who's heterosexual, for example, because there's lots of different sexualities, like homosexuality, pansexuality. So basically oh God, I've lost my train of thought now. What was I saying? It's because I've still got this on the screen that I need to talk to you about. Oh, what was I saying? I don't usually forget my words. Oh my goodness, mind blank. So I was trying to say, what was I saying? Give me a prompt here. I'm going to go back to this person at the moment, and I'll think about the doctor later. But I was basically trying to say that, you can't just, that was it. I was saying that people with low sex drives that are heterosexual aren't asexual. However, because the second part of the definition is little to no interest in sexual activities, technically someone with a low sex drive could fall under that category because they're not interested. Brain fart, that's what it was. Brain fart. Well, actually, I have fibro, and fibro, you can have brain fog with fibro. I don't tend to get it very often. Oh, I'm moving you down now, sorry. So yeah, brain fog is where you forget what you're talking about, but it doesn't happen very often on this channel, which is good. But I mean, this is a live channel, so sometimes it can happen, but usually I do really well considering I speak live every night on here, every day. Yesterday was earlier. So yeah, so that's why it becomes difficult, because it is well known that people say that if you're heterosexual, low sex drive, that's not the same thing as being asexual, because you still can experience a sexual attraction. But the other bit is where little to no interest in sexual activities, that is really for the grey asexuals and the demisexuals. The grey asexuals are the one that experience sexual attraction, but in limited, rare or specific circumstances, or not enough to want to act on it. And then the demisexuals are the one that has to form a strong emotional connection before they can feel sexual attraction. And even then they don't necessarily get it, with every emotional bond they create. So, asexuality can be very confusing. It is a very huge topic. And there's so many grey areas sometimes. And the danger is that if you're not careful, you end up making asexuality and sexuality, people that are sexual, you end up making them so close together if you're not careful. And you're like, hang on a minute. Why is there sexual people in our sort of dating sites and apps and everything? I mean, it's kind of like thinking, well, are we encouraging it at all? Is there anything we're saying in our language or anything we're putting in our articles that kind of welcomes these people into our community without them actually being that honest about it? Do you know what I mean? So going back to this guy on Facebook when he says, he's talking about, some believe they could enjoy sex with the right person. That doesn't mean to say, though, that, that even if they do enjoy sex with the right person, that they're asexual. But if they're thinking about, they're not sure whether they're asexual or not, then why not leave the label of asexuality off until they've decided whether they're asexual or not? Do you see what I mean? Before, because I've met some people in the asexual community and they're like, oh, I thought I might be asexual, but I wasn't sure. But now I know I am. So now I'm here. And I think that's great. They've come to the conclusion they're actually asexual. They're here. They're welcome, And I know people need to do research to find out if they are or not. Of course they are. But, it's just that it's just like this guy. I don't want to go into all of it because obviously it's a private conversation. But he blocked me because he admitted that he wasn't asexual. So this guy on Facebook, like I said, I've been friends with him for a while. And so he was on about experimenting with sex, basically, to see if he's asexual, which, you know what I mean? It still does, even if you have sex, it still doesn't necessarily mean to say that you are asexual. You're not asexual. It's not, sexual behaviour is not the same as sexual attraction. It's a very difficult thing, though. So he was asking me, because I was saying about I'm different to other asexuals because I know I like kissing. And he said, are there guys who like to kiss and not have sex? This is the question. Well, if you're asexual, then yes, there are asexual guys that like kissing without sex. So for a start, that's a very weird thing for him to say, although he probably was referring to heterosexuals in that sense. But that's not what he said. And then he said, there is no way to know someone if you've only met on the internet would be fine with just kissing. Well, I agree, but if they're a genuine asexual, being honest, and not on the more sexual end of the spectrum, but sadly a lot of them lie, and I usually track the ones that are not really asexual. So this went on. Then he started saying about, well, it seems you like to kiss. I thought, well, he's always known that about me since I spoke to him originally. That's good you know about yourself already. It's like, well, of course I know it. I knew I'm asexual 4 years ago. The thing about being ace is that it tells you what you are not. And I just thought that's a very, very weird thing to say. Because although it tells you you're not, although I don't see as the thing that about being ace is it tells you what you're not. I don't see it like that. I see it as that you know what you're not. And that's how you find out that you're asexual, because you don't experience sexual attraction, because you're not that bothered about sex, because you're not going thinking, oh, I want sex with you or anyone. That's what you find out, not the other way around. The way he's putting it is though that you're using asexuality to find out what you aren't and aren't not, like an experiment. It's just very weird. But I mean, obviously, if you've got experiences yourself, comment below or in chat. So he's put, oh, you've had a head start. Because I said, I know myself very well. I've been helping others on my channel since 2015 and told him what my full asexual title was, and that years ago I mistook sexual attraction. Yeah, I mistook arousal for sexual attraction. And then he's put, oh, you have a head start on a whole lot of other people who don't know themselves as well. I'm using each date I have to suss out who I am and what I'm uncomfortable with. I've just started with it. Well, this was only last Thursday. And I've been how long have I been friends with this guy? For a few months. You know? So it seems weird that he says, I'm just starting with it now. You know, I'm going back August already with him, you know? So I've been friends with him for quite a long time. And it just seems, the whole conversation just seemed really bizarre. It's like he was using it now as since the 10th of August I've been friends with him. It just seems like he's using it as an experiment. I mean, you do have to experiment in your life, of course. He sounds sexual. Yeah, well, this is when he admits he's not asexual. Exactly, that's what I thought. Because I said, so you had sex but didn't like it. What makes you think you are asexual? I had sex with the wrong person. I don't think I'm asexual. And so this is what I wrote to him, Heather. Okay, so why are you on ASAP? And I found you through asexuality. Because I was researching it. Because at the time I thought I was. Okay, so I put, right, okay. So now you can go on sexual dating sites instead. Which is fair enough, isn't it? He was researching it, thought he was, found out he isn't. So that's fine. And then he put, I don't like your tone. I don't like the tone of your advice. I mean, how can that be a bad tone? Right, okay, full stop. So now you can go on sexual dating sites instead. I mean, that's a matter of fact, isn't it? I don't like the tone of your advice. Yes, maybe I will, or maybe I will not use dating sites at all. And I put, well, if you're on asexual dating sites and on the app, if you're not asexual, it's best to either state that in your profile, or to be fair to those who are asexual and honest, or to find something more suitable for you. And he goes, I completely agree, and I do. I'm open and honest about my status with everyone I speak to. My profile does not say I'm asexual anywhere, but then neither does... It can seem like you're chasing them off. I don't really care, Michael, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if the guy is... I've known him since August, right? So he's, you know... I've known him online since August, and all that time he's been, you know, on asexual app, on asexual dating groups, you know, and maybe I am chasing him off. I mean, at the end of the day, if he's not asexual, and he knows he's not, because he said, I don't think I am asexual, then, okay, well, why not go on sexual dating sites now then? It's just like, yeah, do you know what I mean? If you're in the wrong place, then why... But then, and I went in the shower because I had stuff to do. I had to get on. So I just said, well, you know, it's better to go on, you know, if you're on asexual dating. I haven't actually told, you know, I've replied to him and said, well, if you are on asexual dating sites, I've not said you don't have to be on them, or I don't agree with you being on them. I just said, if you are on asexual dating sites and on the app, if you're not asexual, it's best to either state that in your profile, or to be fair to those who are asexual and honest, chase off the sexuals, they don't belong. Well, exactly, Scary Jerry. Exactly. It's like, you know, what if I am? I'm trying to protect people that are really asexual from people who are sexual that are not that aren't, you know, really asexual. I mean, I'm not being funny, but if you read back, I've known him since the beginning of August, right? And now he's saying he's finding out whether he's asexual or not. And the way he's doing it is by experimenting with sex. I mean, the whole thing just seems really weird, the whole conversation. That's why I questioned him on whether he was asexual. What makes you think you're asexual, you know? And then he put, I don't think I'm asexual. And then he said, oh, you are aware that people use the apps because they are confused as to whether they're ace, right? Some people use it for establishing where they sit on the grey spectrum. It's a safe place for them to do so I trust you agree on that this is important. But I was in the shower and I just saw that message. And he blocked me. So I couldn't reply. I'm like, fine. Whatever. I mean, of course, I'm aware that some people are on the grey spectrum, which is why I thought he might be for a while. But that's not what he said to me before I went in the shower. He said he was basically experimenting with sex to find out if he was asexual or not. But, you know, he said his journey's just started. That's what, to me, it's like, well, how can your journey have just started? If it's August, it's not like you've just found out and you're experimenting now. It's like, I knew back in August, and it might not be, you know, it might have been on before then. But yeah, as an asexual person who likes to keep people safe, and in my asexual groups as well, I mean, especially my no sex dating one, I run the grey asexual and demisexual dating group. So I'm open to people who are grey ace and demi. I have asexual meetups, and I have demisexuals come to my meetups. I have grey asexuals come to my meetups. I'm happy for anyone on the asexual spectrum to attend a meetup. You know, I'm not actually a textbook grey A, but I have the grey area of kissing, which is sexual behaviour but zero sexual attraction. I'm not a textbook grey A because I still don't experience the sexual attraction. So it's not like I don't welcome these people. I'm happy for people on the set, you know, who are across the asexual spectrum to attend my meetups and to talk to them and to host like I said, I have a dating group for them, because, you know, they are still valid, and I can tell the people that are genuinely asexual and on the asexual spectrum in the groups from the way they talk. You know, for a demisexual, for example, they have to have a strong emotional connection before they can experience a sexual attraction. You know, genuine demisexual has to have that. They cannot experience it else. They are physically just the same and mentally this. You know, they are mentally the same in terms of thinking as an asexual. In terms of they cannot get that urge, need, or want for sex unless a strong emotional bond has been formed. They just can't, which is different to a sexual. And usually with demisexuals, the bond has to be reciprocated. If the bond's not reciprocated, they can fall out of love even with their partner if it's not maintained. So they really rely on that deep emotional connection 24/7 to keep that relationship going if they're going to have sex within it and experience sexual attraction. That's how they're different to the heterosexuals or pansexuals, homosexuals, bisexuals of the world. You know, that's how they're different. And the grey asexuals, you know, they might experience it on rare occasions. But I know another YouTuber I've seen, they say they're grey asexual, but they seem to be having more than a few occasions of, you know, sexual attraction. They seem to be like, well, in this instance, you know, like there seems to be so many instances of sexual attraction going on. It's like, and they're a well-known asexual YouTuber, and I watched a bit of their channel, and they was like, oh, well, I'm sexually attracted to that person this day, and for X amount of time I wasn't, and then I'm sexually, and it's just like, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, your instances must be like mounting up to a mountain. Do you know what I mean? That was just my observation, and I just thought I can't be on this channel because I just think it's you know, I mean, obviously some people won't like my channel, and other, you know, everyone's different, you know, because I do talk about relationships, dating, and you know, sexual relations. Sorry, I've still got my chest infection after 2.5 weeks later. And so you know, I do know not everyone's going to agree or like my channel. I don't expect everyone to be like that. We're all different, so that person's channel might suit someone else. But, you know, I find it really difficult when I know the definition of is rare or specific circumstances grey asexual, and the way this person's saying it is kind of like, to me, it's kind of like, well, you know, like your instances are so often that you know, are you actually a typical grey A or whatever, because you don't seem like it. Do you know what I mean? It seemed too much sexual attraction. But then, you know, we're all different. That was my personal opinion. But anyway, this person blocked me. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, if they blocked me, then obviously, do you know what I mean? It's like, fine. I just blocked them back. So I removed them. They were in, I think they were in one of my groups. So I just thought, I'm not having you in my group. If you're one of you blocking me personally, because you shouldn't block admins, and two, if you're not really asexual, there's no point. Do you know what I mean? So, but I kind of feel like, you know, especially I run the no sex dating group, I'm very specific about anyone I have in there. You know, it's particularly for the people who want no sex in the no sex dating group. And I want to keep it that way. And I feel a sense of responsibility to keep people safe from, you know, from sexuals. I'm not saying that every sexual person is a bad person. I've got sexual friends, you know, and I've got people that I can feel safe around, you know. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying when people who are sexual are on asexual dating sites, asexual apps, and they're coming and looking for a relationship and sex and things like that, you know, I feel I have a duty of care and protection to the people in my community, personal community, if you like, and my personal groups, to act in their best interests. And so while still being kind and considerate and polite to the person who I'm talking to. So that's why I said, well, now you can go on sexual dating sites instead, because I don't see the point in a person who's not asexual staying on them. The only reason they would be doing it is for their own benefit, you know? It's like I had a person in the meetup.com group, and he came on Facebook. He was in the meetup.com group. It's Asexuals Bristol. But in Asexuals Bristol, there are people in that group that aren't really asexual. But the thing is, it includes pansexuals. I think it includes other LGBT people as well, but it includes pansexuals. Well, pansexuals are not asexual. They're sexually attracted to many different people. Well, can be. Doesn't mean to say they're attracted to multiple people at once, but they can be attracted to any gender, you know? So it's kind of like, if that's what the admins put there, then obviously there's going to be sexuals mixed in with asexuals. But, you know, this guy who was on there, he then came on Facebook and said, well, I'm not really asexual, no. And then I said, well, why are you still in the group? Oh, because I was too tired to change it. I mean, that's just a lazy excuse. All it takes is to get out of the group. They should be upfront with you so they don't waste your time. Exactly. And this is why with this guy, when I knew him back in August from the asexual dating stuff, and now he's saying he's experimenting to find out if he's asexual or not now, that's why it didn't add up. Because on the one sense, he's saying, oh, I'm just starting my journey. The next he's saying I'm not, but I don't think I'm asexual. And then he's going back to saying I was trying to find out whether I was or not. It's just like, well, it's fine. You tried to find out if you are or not. You found out you're not. So that's it, isn't it? You know, keep your asexual friends or whatever. But, you know, what's the point in being on asexual dating groups and sites unless you're going to be honest and actually say that I'm not asexual? Then I think that's fine if they want to do that. And I was actually going to pose the question, do you think that people who are on asexual dating sites, do you think there should be a box on there where they can put they're not asexual? Because on ASAP, which is what I wanted to talk to you about. Now, ASAP, if you've never used it before, I will show you what it looks like. So on my phone, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Oh, I don't want to go into him yet because I want to share something else with you. Let's just look. Oh, I just want to show you what the app looks like from the app point of view. Right. So ASAP is, you see that? I don't know if you can see it because it's a bit, yeah, it's a little cake basically. It's, I don't know if you can see it. But that cake there, you can't really see it. It's a bit blurry. But that's a little cake, right? That icon. And that's ASAP. And it's an app that you can get, an application that you can download from the iTunes store or from Android, which is, they've got their, Android's got their own Play Store, it's called. So it's the Apple iTunes or the Play Store, basically, or iStore or whatever. I haven't got an iPhone. I think it's iTunes that you use because I've got iTunes on my Mac, but I haven't got an iPhone. So correct me if I'm wrong and just put it in the comments or chat. But I've got Android, which you use for you get Play Store. You go to the Play Store and download it. And when you get into the app, it's used for dating, relationships, or chat for asexuals, right? Now I had this message from this guy, and straight away I thought, you're not asexual, right? And this is a person that's confused right on here. Now, I've done a previous video and said, be very aware of anyone on ASAP that puts the word confused, right? And I think the majority of people on ASAP are using it because they're not asexual. But personally, I would rather them have a box to say they're heterosexual or whatever they are in terms of sexuality. So rather than confused, because confused is very for me, anyone who's confused. I mean, I do know some asexuals can be confused, but they can usually put in their bio, I'm not sure where I fall on the spectrum, but I know I'm asexual. They put something like that, right? When there's people on here, ASAP just put confused, I think the majority of them are not asexual. They're just using it because they don't have a blimmin' other box to use, right? So I kind of think, should we on asexual dating sites and asexual apps, should we actually have a box saying they can tick if they're heterosexual or on the sexual, they're sexual, not asexual? Should we actually be open and allowing them that? But would asexuals go on there then? That's the thing, because sadly, human psychology is such that people sometimes don't want to know the truth. And I know that sounds really harsh to hear, but a lot of the way people's brain works is human beings don't like to hear the truth. So I think that the sexuals on the app just see sexual instead of asexual. Yeah, scary Jerry. Yeah, I mean, basically, the word asexual, people don't know what it means. They think it means a sexual person. They don't know that asexual means the absence of sexual attraction. To them, it just means a sexual person. So to all intents and purposes, they probably think, a lot of them, that it's full of sexual people on there. However, not all of them do think that, because when I talk to them, I can tell they know that asexual's not the same thing. Because of what this guy, with this guy saying to me. But, but exactly, but I do, but there's a acebook.net as well. There's a guy on there that was messaging me by the second message asking me for sex. Do you see what I mean? There's should we have on asexual apps and asexual dating sites, should we have a box where they can put their sexual? But like I said, with the human psychology, a lot of people don't want the truth. And so if you start putting that on asexual dating sites and on the Ace app, would people actually go on it? Because they think, oh no, I'm not going on there. Because there's people who are not asexual on there. Oh, I don't trust that app. I don't trust that dating site. So I won't go on it. Because why would I want to go on it when it's got sexuals? Whereas that is the actual damn truth, excuse my language. But people don't want to know the truth. They would rather have all these people hidden, theoretically. They wouldn't. They don't want that because they don't want sexuals on there. But they'd rather be ignorant and not really believe that's true than actually facing up to the fact that quite a few of them now on ASAP, for example, are not really asexual. You see what I mean? But if you put a box there for people to actually say, oh, I'm not asexual, that would probably put people off applying for it and they feel unsafe. So by having a confused box, it means that anyone can use the app, money is got through this app by adverts, obviously, and but not so on acebook.net. Ace-book.net is spelt. There's no adverts on there, so no one's financially benefiting from there. They rely on donations. But we as asexuals are on sexual dating sites, some of us, right? So there are asexuals that are on sexual dating sites, and you could argue, why are asexuals on sexual dating sites when they don't belong in the sense of if they don't want sex? So you could say equally that we are on their sites. Do you see what I mean? But where we're on their sites, we can't actually say we're asexual. We have to, unless we say that in our bio, usually. There's no box to say we're asexual. So I think what the best thing would be to do as a whole world is to actually have boxes on there, really. So you can say what you are. You can say if you're asexual on a sexual dating site, and probably vice versa to make it fair. But I can't see that ever happening. Because like I said, if asexuals are thinking about using a dating site that's got sexuals on it, how many people would actually sign up to it? And then if you don't get people signed up to it, then it's not worth having it. Because, like I said, I mean, people do, the makers of these apps, they need the advertising to stay alive. They need the advertising to pay for the app. People who are in the asexual community, sadly, a lot of them think that everything should be for free, and you can't do it for free. If people have got an app, they've had people on this app that they've had to pay money for to build the app, to keep it ongoing, to build all the framework for it. They've got to have constant staff there to monitor it, to improve bugs and things, to make sure nothing gets hacked. So you do need money to go into it. So it does need to be paid for. So you do need adverts on it. And, and sometimes these people that are going on there, they're not asexual, they're using the app. So they will click on the ads to help pay for the site, which helps the app, which maintains it for asexuals. So in a way, it's an indirect benefit to us, them being on there, if they click through ads to keep the app going, because then we can still see other asexuals. So, that's a positive thing in it. But I kind of think it's a shame they can't be themselves in the sense of saying they're heterosexual, whether they are. I mean, the people I talk to are hetero usually because they're interested in women, because they're guys. And so this particular guy, he is 27, from Morocco, and confused. And as soon as I saw him, right, he's got his top off, right, which most asexuals do not take pictures with their tops off. I'm not saying no asexuals do, but most asexuals do not show their bare chest, right? Because they're not trying to really attract people that are, into sex, which is, when people take their top off and show it online, it's kind of like, I'm sexy, I'm hot, come and get me. Doesn't mean to say they don't, you know, but it's just a sign you can look out for as to whether they're asexual or not. And when they put confused, it usually means, well, they don't know what asexuality is, basically. But they're trying to say they're confused about their orientation. But I know it basically means that a lot of the time they're not really asexual. And so, and all he put in his profile was ASAP, you know? So he's said nothing about his asexual or sexual orientation. And another dead giveaway that he's probably not asexual is the fact that it said relationship type, ask me. Now, whenever someone says ask me, and especially with the other factors, the fact he's confused and got his top off in the picture, you know, all those things together add up to the fact he's probably not asexual. I believed he wasn't asexual, right? I just believed it, especially when his first message was hello. I know that sounds really weird, but I've got experience of being able to detect when people are not really asexual now. I'm not saying I'm right all the time, but usually I am with the people I talk to, right? Because I was right about that guy on Facebook, even though I've known him since August, even though, you know, he blocked me. That's fine. If he wants to block me, fair enough. On he goes to his sexual journey now, or whatever he wants to do. And then, I've got, you've got to look out for signs, you know, because it's in order to protect you. If you're an asexual who doesn't want sex, but you're looking for a relationship and you're trying to find a partner, and you're searching through a dating site app, or even to be friends. Maybe you want friends, but you want them to be genuine asexuals because you want to be able to relate to each other and have that thing in common and, you know, share life goals and stuff with them. Want to know that if you're talking to someone, they're not going to want to jump on you and have sex, or that's what it's going to lead to, or start talking about sex and things, if that's what you're not interested in, which most asexuals are. So the other thing, like I said, he put relationship type, ask me. Now, if someone's saying ask me, they're not being honest, they're not being open, they're not being upfront. I mean, usually the relationship type is monogamous, polyamorous, or ask me, right? But when they say ask me, it means to me something dodgy is going on. They're not being open, they're not being honest. And why would I want to be with a person who's not open or honest in the first place? And it could mean something, you know, it could mean they've got, I mean, obviously it could mean other things. It could mean like they've got BDSM going on, fetishes and all that lot. But even so, you know, you can still have someone who's monogamous or polyamorous doing those things, right? So it's just like when someone says relationship type, ask me, to me, it's just a red flag. You know, it's like, well, you want to do something secret. I personally, if I was in a relationship, wouldn't want to be in secret with someone. It'd be like they're up to no good. Do you see what I mean? If you're looking for a relationship, you want someone who's open with you, who's honest and communicative, and hasn't got anything to hide. And already that person's hiding something. Do you see what I mean? You can just tell this is not the type of person that you really want for a relationship when they're already hiding something, when you haven't even really spoke to them, if you know what I mean. So, he put, so I already thought he was not asexual, but I thought I'd reply to him. He put hello, so I put hi. He put, how are you doing? I thought, good, thanks. Just been asked to be interviewed for an asexual documentary with times to be arranged. So, yeah, I have. Today I got approached by a student asking me if I'd be part of an asexual documentary for her, for her course. And I said, yeah, I'd love to. So she's in the UK and going to come to me and arrange it. I think she said it's going to be a radio documentary, and then there's going to be possibly a little video clip to introduce the documentary for publicity on social media. So I said, yeah, that's great. So I thought I'll tell him that. And then he put, are you an actress and asexual? So he's asking me, am I an actress and am I asexual? Basically, he could be saying, are you an actress and acting asexual? Or he could be saying, are you an actress and an asexual? So what I put is, I am 100% a real asexual. No sexual attraction at all. And done a bit of TV acting years ago, which I have, which you guys probably don't even know about me. I have been in Torchwood. I was in series 1, episode 13, called End of Days. You can actually go and look it up because it's still on the internet. And I was running away from a monster, and it was paid extra work. It was filmed in Cardiff. And I was screaming, and I was on the trailer, and I'm wearing a white PVC jacket, which I still have in my cupboard, I think, in my wardrobe. So yeah, if you didn't know that about me, now you do. I'm actually really good at acting. I got told when I was at school that I should go to acting school, but I was shy back then. I'm not shy back now, as you know, but I was shy back then and I couldn't do it. But I was really good at acting. So yeah, I'd be great if I was doing acting. Apart from I wouldn't want to kiss a guy who's older than me, who I'm not aesthetically attracted to. if I was doing acting. And in acting, you have to do anything, and I couldn't do that. I can't kiss a guy I'm not aesthetically attracted to, even if it's acting. I can't act that. I just like, ugh, gross. So I put, I'm the author of Asexual Perspectives and founder of asexualise.com and Asexualise Academy. I was a speaker at the UK Sexuality Conference. I am guessing you are heterosexual, not asexual. Yes, you right. And that was our conversation. That was the end of that. See? At least he was honest with me straight away, but there's not much point in arguing with me or even saying it. I mean, it's pretty obvious he was heterosexual. But do you see what I mean? I can see the signs now, the signs to look out for. There's common patterns with people that are not really asexual, but are on sexual dating sites or apps. I don't know everyone. I mean, the other day I was passing some information on to a woman who was interested in a guy from a certain country. I passed the information and she said to me, this guy's not really asexual, because she knows what guys are like in her country. And she said, this guy's not really asexual. He's just pretending to be asexual. I said, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to talk to him about it? She goes, no. She goes, but I'm not. But she said that, I know this type of guy. And I did have a little bit of query over him myself, but he's in my asexual groups and I'm friends with him on Facebook and he's supporting all my asexual stuff. So I'm bearing in mind that she says he's not really asexual, and I've seen signs that he might not be myself. Because on some of his Facebook and in some of his photographs, not his main Facebook profile, but a few of the things he's liked, the pictures are a bit suggestive, to say the least, sexually suggestive. But I've seen a lot worse. I've seen some asexuals, or I know one Demi, I think he is asexual. It's in my Demi group. That's also on Twitter, and he has tons of pictures of women with barely anything on all over his Facebook profile, and that just puts me right off him. But I've known he's followed me on Twitter for absolutely ages. I think he's been following me on Twitter for well over a year, nearly 2 years or something. Now, obviously, he's on the grey asexual end of the asexual spectrum, so I just accept that he's like that. But I just find that very difficult to accept personally, in terms of, like, I wouldn't be with someone like that. I couldn't be with someone who's got scantily clad women all over their Facebook. And, anyone personally, it does beg the question for me, like, are you really asexual when you've got all that stuff all over your profile? However, because I've known him online over Twitter and he supports all the asexual stuff I do, I've known him on asexual dating sites, and I don't know him tremendously well, but I know he's always, like, there. Then, I've accepted, as far as I'm aware, even despite the photographs, as far as I know what he said, that he's asexual. So he's in my Demi and Grey group, But the Demi, the Grey group is very difficult, obviously, because some people want sex in there, may want sex in the future, and other people don't. So that's kind of really mixed, because it's Greys and Demis. And sometimes it's really hard to make a decision whether to let someone in that group or not, because obviously as an admin, you have to judge whether you think that person will fit in with the group and whether you think that person's asexual or not. I mean, I know you shouldn't judge people, but as a responsible group holder, it's like being the manager or owner. You have to let people who you believe are genuine in your groups and give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes, is the other thing. Sometimes you're not sure and you have to give people the benefit of doubt and think, all right, I'll let you in and I'll see how you behave and interact with other people. If I get any complaints or things about you that are just not, that basically mean you're not asexual, then, I have to ask that, get them to leave or remove them. But so some people I give the benefit of doubt. I mean, I've had someone apply who was a grey sexual, and I always find that a very weird definition, because it's like they are sexual, but they've got grey areas of being sexual. But that's clumped in with grey asexual and clumped in with, they're kind of all clumped in together, the grey A's, the grey asexuals and grey sexual. And to me, it just seems like bizarre that they're all clumped together in like on Avon Wiki. But so, but I've got them all in the one group. But, a grey sexual to me is someone who's sexual, but they just have a few grey areas. So, that's the way I interpret it in my mind. So it was kind of like, do I let this guy into my group or do I not? But figuratively speaking, because it's on the asexual spectrum and it is written down on Wikipedia's grey sexuals including it, I thought, well, I'll let him in. But if I see that, people are, you know, if anyone, you know, complains about this person for reasons that I think are valid, then obviously I'll have to remove him. So, you know, it is hard as an admin because I like to make space for people all over the asexual spectrum, but I have different groups to do that. I have an asexual friends group as well. So I kind of separate people into different niches. The asexual friends group is anyone and everyone on the asexual spectrum, and it does have a few people in there that are not actually asexual in my asexual friends. It does state that in the description that I will let people at my discretion. So there are some partners, like they've got a boyfriend or girlfriend that's asexual and they're looking for some help because they don't understand their partner and they want to understand them more. So I will let certain people in my asexual friends group at my own discretion, but there's only a handful of people in there and there's like 800 plus people. All the rest are asexuals. There's only probably like less than 10 people that I know of that are asexual in there, you know. But on asexuality.org, which is the biggest community for asexuals, there's openly people on there that aren't asexual. I don't know if you knew that, but there are people on there that go, oh, I'm not asexual, and this is my opinion. But they're usually honest in there, you know. They usually say, I'm not asexual. But there are quite a lot of people who on there that definitely aren't asexual. And it seems weird that they're allowed to be themselves more on Avon, as in they can say they're not asexual, whereas on asexual dating sites and asexual app, there's no actual where unless they put in their profile that they're not asexual. I mean, there's the odd few I've found that are honest, right? There's one on ASAP, and there's the guy that says on there, I'm straight, meaning I'm not asexual. However, people like myself who identify as heteromantic asexual, I used to say I'm a straight asexual. So it can get a bit confusing. I don't tend to use that word straight anymore. I just say I'm a hetero asexual. Sometimes I say that instead of a heterosexual. So I'm attracted to guys asexually, not sexually, because I think people who are not asexual can understand that, oh, she's saying a hetero asexual, not heterosexual. So there must be a difference. What am I missing? You know, that it then leads to the question that they're not the same. Whereas if I say I'm a straight asexual, people will get confused thinking that I'm not really asexual. So I used to say that. I still do class myself as a straight asexual, as in the fact I'm only interested in guys, but I don't usually use that term very often because people don't understand it. They think it means something else. But this guy on there, on ace-book.net, he says I'm straight. So in other words, he's sexual. So there are a few people that are honest, and that's what I would say to any person who's on asexual dating site or ASAP. You know, if you're going to be on our apps, if you're going to be on our dating sites, for goodness sake, be honest about it up front. Just say I'm sexual, and if you want sex, it's better to say it, isn't it, than be a leech and go around people trying to suck onto them for the bit of sex you can get out of them. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's some really dishonest people. Like, if I go on sexual dating sites, like I was on Plenty of Fish, I will put in my profile that I'm asexual, not looking for sex, but that got my profile deleted because I put that I'm not looking for sex, and it flagged up by accident that the word sex, and you're not allowed to use sexual language, which is very difficult. Do you know what I mean? When you're like, I put star some of the time because some people use the word star, so it'd be like S*X, meaning don't like sex. You put in don't like sex. But the problem with that is sometimes people don't always understand it or read it. I mean, people don't always read it anyway. But, you know, people, you know, I kind of want to make it more blatant. So, yeah, I think really if people are not asexual and they're on, you know, which is why I asked that guy before he blocked me. I said, right, okay, if you're staying on asexual dating sites, then just be honest about it, you know? And that's a very simple request. But yeah, if he blocked me, fine. I blocked him back in the end. I thought, well, I've had some people that block me and then they unblock me when they feel like it. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Fine, just stay blocked, mate. You know what I mean? I can't be doing that. I had a person the other day who I'd been helping for some time, for over 2 years. And then sadly, it didn't matter what I said to them to help them. They would not, you know, do things that were good for themselves. So they just kept saying the same thing over again to me. And I said, there's nothing more I can do to help you. I just don't want to hear about this anymore. Because it was about, the person was asexual. The guy who they were with wasn't, and they knew it. And they just kept going back to this person. And they kept, you know, even though they would say, oh, yeah, well, I know now I shouldn't be doing this. And then they just go ahead and do it and then moan to me all the time about the situation they're in. And while I really cared about that person and I wanted to help them, you know, there's only so much you can do. It's stressing me out hearing all that. I didn't want to hear about stuff about a guy which blatantly was no good for her over and over and over again when I can't give her any more advice, and I told her I couldn't and she didn't listen to me, you know. It's like I've been trying to help her online for like over 2 years. So sometimes, you know, you have to, you know, she blocked me in the end because I said, I don't want to hear about this guy anymore. There's nothing else I can say to you to help because, you know, that's it. It's your choice at the end of the day. And so she blocked me, and I was quite glad because it'd been stressing me out because nearly every day she's saying all this negative stuff every day. And I don't need that in my life, you know. Some people think that my job, what I do for asexuals, which I pretty much do the majority of stuff free, you know, some people think it's my job to find them a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I get people in private message going, oh, you should find me a boyfriend or you should find me a girlfriend. It's like, well, no, that's not my job. You know, if you want to pay me to coach you in asexuality or sexuality, if you want to pay me to be a consultant or a mentor, that's fine. But, you know, I'm not doing every single thing for free. I mean, no person that I know in the whole world at the moment is doing videos like this every single day, live streams, for free, you know. I'm trying to help asexuals out. I'm spending, like, since the beginning, the 1st of July, I've been on here every single day trying to help asexuals, like 4 months solid. Do you know what I mean? No person is doing all that free advice, but there's only so much I can do for free, and it's better for me to do it on YouTube, you know, where I can speak to people like in bulk, if you like, and get the message out there and help you, rather than one-to-one. If people want my one-to-one help, you know, they need to pay for it. You know, like there's coaches who coach in sexual stuff. There's coaches who coach in dating, relationships. You know, I have done a weekend coaching course. It was a life coaching course. I've done a very basic counselling skills course, but I'm not a counsellor. You know, and I do, you know, some people have paid me for coaching in the past and mentoring, you know, and I used to do that in business quite a lot. I haven't, because I've been so focused on asexuality. I haven't done it so much with businesses for a while, but I'm actually trained people in social media. That's what else I do, you know, but, you know, no one can do stuff for free all the time. And I do things and talk about things on my channel because I care about people. You know, I'm not like other people. I actually feel a sense of responsibility to trying to keep people safe within the community, but whilst respecting people of different sexualities, you know. I have sexual friends, highly sexual friends. I have no problem with people that want sex. What I have a problem with is when people who are not asexual come into the asexual community and, you know, pretend to be something they're not, or conceal it, or not reveal it. Do you see what I mean? It's just not right. And it's very difficult if you're on asexual dating sites or on asexual apps to know who's telling you the truth or not. And some people are not as, right, how can I put it? Some people are thinking everyone's honest online, you know? There's people, I learned over my life that unfortunately not everyone's as honest as me. Unfortunately, people lie. Unfortunately, people don't reveal the truth. People hide from themselves a lot. They're not being true to who they are. They put on this persona. I mean, I had a guy on ASAP, right? And clearly I don't believe he's asexual either. And he's on there, he's messaging me, 21-year-old from America. No, he lives in India. 21-year-old from India. Yeah, he's Indian. Right, that's right. 21-year-old from India. And he's messaging me on there, like, and then he's telling me about, I mean, some people, right, sadly, are using dating sites and things for validation, right? So this person, he was messaging me, he was messaging back and forth, and I stopped messaging him because he told me that he'd been taught, you know, he goes, oh, I'm not very good looking. Because he goes, I said, well, how, you know, who told you that? He goes, oh, women. He goes, but they had partners. They weren't single, he said to me. And I thought, I don't want to be talking to someone on ASAP when a guy's just going around chatting to multiple people. He put 40, so I presume that means he's been talking to 40 women or something. You know, I'm not interested in a guy like that. He goes around chatting up loads of women, especially the ones that have got partners. Why the heck is he doing that? It's just so wrong. You know, and it's for validation because he's insecure about himself and the way he looks. And he's wanting people to tell him he looks nice or wanting to talk to people, probably because he's bored. And, you know, and I know it's not just me that thinks this because I've even been told by someone who is a female asexual friend in India that these guys, they do come on, they just talk sometimes because they're bored, and they just use you to pass the time, which is not nice. So that's why I wanted to go back to the beginning of this video when I said, are we giving out the right message when we're saying, some people in asexual articles are saying, that if you think the label asexual fits you, then use it, but if you change your mind, that's fine. Are we giving out the right message by putting that in articles? Wouldn't it be better to say stuff like, well, when like research around asexuality, find out if you think it's you. If you think it fits, then, welcome to the asexual community. Something like that, rather than saying the words, well, if you think the label fits you, just use it. And then if not, just change your mind type thing. It just seems like, I said, it seems very much like you're trying to coat in a shop. It's in fashion for a little bit. Chuck it off and get another one in a few months' time. Then I don't want asexuality that's a sexual orientation and should be taken seriously as a sexual orientation. I don't want it to be seen like that, something you can just try on for size. Do you see what I mean? And maybe people think differently in the asexual community. Maybe there's people out there that think it's fine to try it on for size. But, that's not how I personally feel. And I think it's important that I address this on this channel, because it actually quite upset me when I saw that. And I kept seeing a couple of articles like, and I was just thinking, this just sends, personally, I think this just sends out the wrong message. If I was a sexual person reading that, I didn't really understand asexuality, and I put that, I'd be like, oh, this is an interesting label. Oh, let's read about this. Oh, well, I've had a few periods where I'm not really interested in sex. Yeah, I wonder if that fits me. Do you see what I mean? I kind of feel that, I do understand there's a context because the article talks about asexuality, but, for people that don't understand asexuality, I kind of think as a blanket statement, it could be very damaging to the community, as in the sense that it could make people think they can just try it like a label, like on a coat, like they're trying a coat on. And that's why I'm a bit concerned about it. And I wanted to raise it on this channel to get ideas about what you think about it. I mean, I do understand the point of view that, that if you're an asexual or person who comes to the asexual community, you're feeling lost, lonely, broken, you finally feel like you fit in somewhere and you want to use a label then. But it's kind of like, I agree, that's great. But I just think the way that articles are coming across to people that aren't just in the asexual community, it's the whole wide world, I just think it can be coming across as a bit blasé. And my mission, my personal mission, is to get asexuality recognised as a sexual orientation throughout the globe, so that no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule ever again. I just don't want our sexual orientated to be diluted so much that people are like, hang on, what's the difference between someone who's like not had sex for a few months, not had much interest in it, and a genuine asexual person who lacks sexual attraction, who genuinely doesn't have the need, urge, or want for sexual partnered intercourse? Do you see what I mean? And so, sorry, excuse me, my throat's just really bad still. Although it's much better, it's still bad because I keep losing my voice and I keep coughing stuff. So yeah, I just wondered what you thought of it, what your ideas on it, what your experiences are. And, do you think that it is becoming a bit watered down? Do you think it's giving out the wrong message when they're saying, you just use your label if you think it fits, and then, if it doesn't, that's fine? Do you think the way that's worded is good and sufficient enough to actually show that we're a sexual orientation in our own right and we're proud of it and this is who we are, and, make sure you examine your own thoughts and feelings? I know, like I said, I know some people who come into the asexual community and then realise they're not sure, so they go away and ponder it, because it's really important that you have self-reflection, that you do have time to not just stick a label on yourself, but you have the time to reflect, is this you? Is it, is it who you are? And I know there's some people that say, oh, don't label yourself because you're kind of like putting yourself into a box. And, you as a human being, we all have the right to change our mind. This means if you do change your sexuality, then that is okay. That's a human basic right. So I'm not saying people can't change their sexuality. I'm not saying people shouldn't if they need to, if they feel they have. I mean, it's not really a need. It's like if they've changed their sexual orientation, they've changed it, right? It's happened. It's not as if it's a question. They just have, if someone was a lesbian and then become, like I said, that person that I knew in my work that was a lesbian and then ended up being with a guy. I think she married him in the end, and had a kid with him. You know, clearly she's changed her sexual orientation. You know, whether it's bisexual or sexual, she's changed from just being a lesbian who just is with women. So, you know, some people do change their sexual orientation, and nothing is written in stone, and you have the right to change in life. You have the right in any part of your life as a human basic right to change your mind about anything. Like any asexual who's saying they're sex repulsed, hate sex now, if they wanted to, could change their mind. You know, also, I'm not saying they should, I'm not saying they're going to, right? I don't believe that, you know, that they should do anything. I think it's great if they're sex repulsed and don't want sex. But you can look at it the other side, a person who's asexual, been having sex, then like me, for example, realised they're asexual. I couldn't have sex anymore, I couldn't put myself through that anymore, and then I found out I was asexual, you know, has the right to then say, oh, well, I'm sex repulsed these days, I don't like it, it's not who I am, you know? So you have the right to change your mind, and even if you do put yourself into a box for now, you know, because you know that's who you are right now in the moment, then obviously you can say, you know, like, I've changed on this, or I'm doing something different, because it's your life. And I do understand the danger of putting a label on yourself is that you could feel like you can't do anything different. I mean, David J, I don't know if you know this, who was the founder of Avon, there was quite controversy one time because he tried sex. And people were like, oh, David J, you know, who's never had sex, or, you know, runs asexuality.org, founder of it, you know, and then he's having sex. What's going on, you know? And there's quite a lot of criticism and judgment, obviously, for that, which there would be because he's in the limelight anyway. But it's okay if a person wants to try sex, you know. I don't personally like sex these days. If I wanted to have it, physically, I probably could. But I choose not to because personally, I don't like it. You know, if down the line I ever wanted to change my mind, which at the moment the whole idea just disgusts me, but if I ever did, that would be my prerogative or my judgment at the time. But, you know, it doesn't mean to say I wouldn't be asexual, because I would, because I am asexual. The only time I wouldn't be asexual is if I started feeling this sexual attraction. But then obviously there's demisexual, which means you can get it under a strong emotional connection. There are some people in the asexual community that can realise they're demisexual, you know. So that can be quite scary, I think. There are people who know they're asexual, and then all of a sudden there might be that one person that comes into their life and they experience this sexual attraction. And they're like, oh my God, what's going on? I've never experienced this in my life before. And it could just be that one person in their life they experience that sexual attraction towards. Maybe it is enough to make them want to have sex, maybe it isn't. And so they could feel really scared and worried and lonely and like rejected by the asexual community, which isn't a good thing. And I don't want that to happen either, you know. That's not a good thing, because they are still, you know, obviously when they start experiencing sexual attraction, they want sex like anyone else does who's sexual. They then become sexual, really, but they're still part of the asexual spectrum in the sense they're a demisexual because they couldn't have sex, or unless they have that strong emotional bond. But to all intents and purposes, the way they think and behave and feel, everything's sexual, like a normal, average sexual person would. Do you know what I mean? So that, you know, that's a difficult thing to deal with. And again, you know, it could be that you realise you're in a grey asexual as well, that you experience it rare. So you have this one occasion and you might like be with someone, experience a bit of sexual attraction, like, oh, I really want sex, and because you want it with that person, you want the sexual intercourse, and then all of a sudden it's a fleeting moment that goes, you know, you could feel guilty or bad about it. And I don't want a person to feel that way either. That's wrong, because, you know, you should always be true to who you are and your feelings and emotions, despite what people think, you know. So I don't think that, you know, that people can't change and shouldn't change and don't change. What I just have a fear over, I guess, is that people who see articles saying you can use the label and they just use it because it's like permission to use it. Do you know what I mean? You know, if you think fits, hey, go ahead. And it's kind of like, I guess it's how you interpret that as the reader, whether you interpret it as someone struggling with asexuality, and, you know, it's like, well, you know, if you think you are, apply it now, and, you know, that's fine, you belong, you're here, you're with us, you know, and that can feel great. Or whether the person reading it is thinking, hang on a minute, I haven't had sex for 5 months, I haven't been that bothered about it, so yeah, I'll stick the label on me for now. You know what I mean? It depends, I guess, how it's interpreted, because I see that as very much open to interpretation. And maybe that's where I'm coming from. I like a free pass. What does a free pass mean? I mean, everyone's got a free pass, haven't they? You can be whoever you want to be in life, you know? And obviously, anyone can apply whatever label they want to them. No one can stop them. You know, we all control ourselves and control our own lives at the end of the day. I just wondered if it's not helping the asexual community by having that, the way it's said about using the label. If you're a person who isn't in the asexual community and doesn't really understand it, and you're fresh to it, and you see this article, go, oh yeah, I might apply that label because it's just to wear it. Do you see what I mean? That's a danger. Anyway, that's my own personal opinion. It's just a fear I have. Is it a valid fear? I think with the amount of sexuals that's coming through on asexual dating sites and asexual apps particularly, or the Ace app, I think it is a bit of a justified fear. But maybe these people aren't coming in because they've read an article like that. Maybe they just is literally the misunderstanding about what asexual is and asexual is, which should be obviously addressed more in the bio of the app. But when you go into the app, or when I used to go into the app, I'm permanently logged into it now, it used to say cake is better than sex. So you already know that something is different about this site, you know? So yeah, because you already know that this site's one that's not that bothered about sex if they're saying cake is better than sex. But I guess people just might like their food and think, oh well, that's fine, people on here like food. So, you know, if they don't know what asexuality is. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. I'd love to hear what you think. Put them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and hit the great big bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live, like now, or post a brand new video. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. The more you give me thumbs up, the more it gets these videos higher up in search engines, which spreads awareness of asexuality more. Thank you so much. Good night, Heather, and thanks for watching, Michael. And was it Jerry? Thanks for watching, Jerry, and anyone else who's watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's, and don't forget to share this video with anyone who may benefit from it, and keep the thumbs up coming. Thank you so much for the thumbs up already, and I will see you soon. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely night and morning wherever you are.